Welcome to Coral TV's Cheltenham Festival preview. Now let's get champion trainer Paul Nichols and Ruby Walsh's view on Gold Cup Day. Let's start off with the star that focus has all been on, and Courto Star. How is he?
Yeah, very happy with him. His prep's gone good. Obviously won his 2 races this season at Haydock and Kempton. Had his little break after that. Very much the same. We've mirrored what we did last year with him, and we're very happy with him. You
seem to always be changing, and learning about the horses as you go along. And with this horse, what is it now that you feel is his ultimate conditions? Being
very fit and very fresh, and run on. I don't think the ground's so important to him, but just for being like last year he was, and very fit and very fresh. He's lethal when he's like that.
Do you think he's improved this year?
I think he probably has. Just, I don't know why, but just I think his King George run was probably a career best. I thought last year's Gold Cup one probably was. But I just had doubts about the form for a minute at Christmas because he looked so impressive. And then Nakarat ran really well the other day in the racing post chase. And just seeing him working lately, he's as good as he's ever been. Appears so at home in the way he looks.
Denman looks his main rival. Obviously, he had a bit of a blip on his last run. But what was your take on the run in Newbury? All the press are very quick to build horses up and knock them down. But, he can't be not a good horse after one run.
No, because he was a champion after he'd won the Hennessy the time before, according to the paper's all-time greats. But no, he just wasn't fully wound up. I was happy enough until the point of basically he made the mistake 4 out that cost him the race. If he hadn't done that, he'd have jumped it and he'd have won. End of story. And I said to Paul Barber, and I said, don't worry about it. He had a bit of a setback, but I'm happy with him. He'll improve. And all he's done since then is improve. Looks good. One of his biggest weapons is his fitness. He has to be super fit. He keeps galloping, and he's getting there now.
Ruby, let's start off with the star of the show, Courto Star. You've had a great affinity with the horse. How do you feel coming into this year's Gold Cup?
I should be looking forward to it. His run in the King George was outstanding. It was a great performance on the day. I suppose Madison Burley hasn't franked the form, but Nakarat has. He ran a cracker in the race post chase with a lot of weight to finish second behind Razor Royale. Barbershop hasn't run yet, and I guess you have to equate things to form. So while Madison Burley let it down, Nakarat's held it up, but all a horse can do on any given day is win, and he did, and it was an outstanding performance. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
He's been fantastic all the way through. Do you feel he's improved this year?
I don't know if he's improved this year. He battled well to beat Imperial Commander in Haydock. He won the King George a long way, and it was a really good performance. I don't know has he improved. He's won 2 Tingle Creeks in the past. As we said, 4 King Georges, 2 Gold Cups. His record speaks for itself. It's hard to imagine he's improved, but I think if he turns up on the day as good as he can be in real good form, he'll run a huge race.
Tricky Trickster was brilliant at Newbury.
Tricky Trickster, yeah. He's just done nothing but improve. I was really pleased with his Newbury win. He's improved since then. Again, obviously, you've got to prove on form, and the Grand National's really his target. But I could see him running a big race and definitely running into a place.
You often talk about the Gold Cup being a good trial for the Grand National and a good prep race for the Grand National, and that certainly worked well with My Will last year.
Yeah, it did. He finished, I think he was 5th in the Gold Cup, ran a nice race, and then finished 3rd in the National, so it's ideal, and he's hopefully going to do the same thing.
Let's talk about the Grand Annual and Tatiano, because he was a horse that seriously could have been fancied for one of the championship novice races until he disappointed at Newbury.
Yeah, he did disappoint at Newbury, and maybe it was the ground, maybe it wasn't, but you'd have been hoping he'd have been capable of winning the race regardless if he was going to be a serious Arkle contender. He didn't, so we found out about him, I suppose. Yes, he can never ride a horse off in one run, but it looks sensible now probably to run him in the Grand Annual off a rating of 142. He's 11.4-5 at his back, or he tanks along. He's quick from A to B, and I know he's a novice, but it's a race that novices have a fairish record in. But I hope I'm not waiting on the Grand Annual for a winner the last day on the Friday. If I am, God bless the Tatiano.
Looking to the Grand Annual, to Tatiano, you had him entered in the Arkle and the Grand Annual, but he looked absolutely fantastic at Exeter and Cheltenham. Was the fact that he got beaten at Newbury, did that sway your decision as to where to run him?
Well, two things. If I hadn't run him in Newbury, I wouldn't be able to run in the Grand Annual because he'd have only had 2 runs and he wasn't eligible to run in a handicap. So that was a plus, but the ground wasn't ideal for him, and the form hasn't exactly been upheld by Santini. I don't know, he didn't perform that day. Funny, last year, about the same time at Cheltenham, he ran deplorably. Came back in the spring and was a different horse, and I just think he probably is a spring horse on decent ground. The handicap had dropped him, I think, from about 149 to 142, so it gives us a chance, and I just feel that he's got a better chance this year in the Grand Annual than he has in the Arkle. So my theory is that if he's good enough to win the Arkle, he should be a certainty in the Grand Annual off his handicap mark. So I persuaded Andy to let me run him in the Grand Annual rather than the Arkle.